Hello, everyone. My name is Amina Rakisheva, and I'm very pleased to welcome you back to Heart Failure 2026 Headlines Day 2 here in Barcelona. Today's program once again highlights how rapidly the field of heart failure continues to evolve. Let's begin with one of today's important morning sessions on advanced heart failure. Christian Basile and colleagues presented a target trial emulation study evaluating ICD therapy in modern heart failure population using Swedish national registries. As many landmark ICD trials were conducted before contemporary GDMT, including ARNIs and SGLT2 inhibition, investigators ask an important question. Does ICD therapy still provide benefit today? To address this, the investigators first successfully replicated several historic randomized ICD trials using a target trial emulation approach, validating their methodology against the original trial results. Then, they applied the same framework to a contemporary HFrEF cohort from 2016 to 2021, including more than 6,000 patients receiving modern heart failure therapy. Importantly, ICD implantation was associated with a significant 26% reduction in all-cause mortality. Overall, these results reinforce that ICD therapy may continue to provide meaningful protection against sudden cardiac death even in the era of contemporary heart failure treatment. The second study focused on cardiac microcurrent therapy. Jesus Eduardo Rame and colleagues presented follow-up data from the CMIC-2 study evaluating the durability of cardiac microcurrent therapy after device deactivation in 31 patients with symptomatic non-ischemic HFrEF. Importantly, benefits achieved during active therapy remained sustained 1 year after deactivation, including a 6.4% absolute improvement in left ventricular ejection fraction, a nearly 150-meter increase in 6-minute walk distance, major improvements in KCCQ quality of life scores, and persisted New York Heart Association functional class improvement. Notably, no major events were considered related to the device or therapy, and only a small number of patients required device reactivation. These findings suggest that cardiac microtherapy may induce durable biological and structural effect beyond active stimulation itself, supporting further evaluation of this novel bioelectronic approach in larger heart failure studies. Next, we move to advanced heart failure and mechanical circulatory support. Nir Uriel and colleagues presented the analyses which included middle-aged and older patients with advanced heart failure and compared outcomes between HeartMate 3 LVAD therapy and heart transplantation using data from the Momentum 3 trial and the UNAS registry. When outcomes were measured from the time of treatment, heart transplantation demonstrated higher 2-year survival compared with HeartMate 3 therapy in both age groups. However, the result changed substantially when investigators accounted for transplant waitlist time. Among middle-aged patients, survival was actually higher with the HeartMate 3 therapy compared with from death or delisting into transplant candidates, 83% versus 75%. Similarly, in older adults, HeartMate 3 recipients demonstrated numerically favorable survival compared with the listed transplant candidates, 76.6% versus 72.2%. Importantly, infection-related hospitalizations were lower with the HeartMate 3 therapy, while stroke rates were higher in older LVAD recipients. Overall, the findings highlight how modern LVAD therapy continues to evolve not only as a bridge to transplant therapy, but also as a long-term treatment strategy for selected patients with advanced heart failure. Another important presentation focused on hemocompatibility complications in LVAD recipients. Amishi Saad and colleagues evaluated the impact of RAS inhibition in more than 2,700 patients from the Momentum 3 trial portfolio, including over 2,200 HeartMate 3 recipients. Importantly, sustained RAS inhibition was associated with a remarkable 33% reduction in hemocompatibility-related adverse events, driven primarily by reductions in non-surgical bleeding, with benefit observed across different LVAD platforms. Finally, we move to acute heart failure and congestion management. Jorge Nuge and colleagues presented results from the Delta-HF trial evaluating the eLIM system, a novel catheter-based device designed to enhance lymphatic drainage through the thoracic duct in patients with acute decompensated heart failure. In 40 patients, the therapy achieved nearly 7 kilograms of weight reduction while maintaining stable renal function and demonstrated 95% freedom from major safety events. This innovative lymphatic approach may open new therapeutic pathways for acute heart failure care. Overall, today's presentation demonstrates how heart failure management is becoming increasingly multidimensional, combining precision prevention, advanced devices, myocardial recovery, optimized medical therapy, and novel approach to congestion biology. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow for more headlines from Heart Failure 2026.